What's up, and welcome to another edition of Locked On NBA, the biggest stories with the local experts. I'm your host, Jackson Gatlin, also host of Locked On Rockets, right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Today, we'll be chatting with Tony East from Locked On Pacers as Bennedict Mathurin is making his presence felt throughout Vegas Summer League for the Indiana Pacers. Who else has shown out for this Pacers Summer League squad? We're going to get there after a quick message from our friends over at rockauto.com, because look, with the ever-increasing number of makes and models, it's basically impossible for you to stock all the parts that you would possibly need in a local chain storefront or a car dealership. You just can't do it, right? It is too many different options. You can save time and money when using rockauto.com. Why choose, right? Willingly choose to spend 30, 50, even 100% more for the exact same auto parts from a chain store or car dealership. Best of all, rockauto.com is a family business. They've been serving do-it-yourselfers online for over 20 years. The prices are always reliably low for every single customer. So go explore their easy-to-use website today to find the solution to your auto parts needs. And this is the really important part. This is the favor you got to do for me, right? When you go there, when you hit the shopping cart icon, when you get ready to check out, be sure to write Locked On in there. How did you hear about us box, so that they know that we sent you. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. Be sure to visit rockauto.com. Joining us now is Tony East from Locked On Pacers. You can follow at TEastNBA. Now, Tony, we've got Summer League galore, and at the heart of that for the Indiana Pacers is one Bennedict Mathurin. So far, 2-game spread for Benny Mathurin, and one pretty solid game, one not so solid. Had 23-4 and had 23 boards and a steal in that first game, 9 of 16 shooting. And then second game, 15, 3 and 1 on 6 of 16 shooting, only 1 of 4 from behind the arc. Let's start with that very first game, kind of first impressions. What stood out during his Summer League debut against the Hornets?
Yeah, the standout thing at first to me was his ability to move off the ball and wiggle himself free for some of those three-pointers. You mentioned he hit 3 of them in that first game. He took 4 total. And, I know you're only asking about the first game, but the first shot the Pacers made in both of their Summer League games so far was a Bennedict Mathurin 3, right? Like, that is where he is shining and showing off his ability to fit in on this Pacers team so far is as an off-ball guy who can wiggle himself around an off-ball screen, get open from deep, who can, off one dribble, let it fly, just gets himself open without needing the ball to create that space. And so as that shooter, I think a majority of his points have come from beyond the arc, or almost half at least have come from beyond the arc so far in Summer League. That's where he's really shined so far because, with so many other NBA players on this Pacers team, he hasn't really had the ball a ton in terms of like self-creation opportunities.
Now, this was a guy, though, that, in college did have the opportunity to kind of have the ball in his hands a little bit and have some self-creation opportunities, the opportunity to create for his teammates. Is that something you maybe like to see a little bit more of out of him as we go through the rest of these Summer League games?
Yeah, I think that will take the Pacers benching their NBA guys. You know what I mean? It's not even necessarily that he's not doing it. He's had some nice finishes over some tall dudes and attacked around some screens. It's just Chris Duarte was awesome in that first game, right? He had 16 points and only 7 shots, and Andrew Nembhard, their 31st pick, and Dwayne Washington have had the ball a ton. They've just run it through other guys so far. But as I bet Washington gets shut down pretty soon since he's going to be on their NBA team. Duarte's already done. As Summer League progresses and teams shut these dudes down because it doesn't matter anymore, and they already lost, so they're not going to be playing in the championship game. I think then will Bennedict Mathurin the ball all the time. He can really push and show what he can do as a scorer and as a guy with the ball.
Yeah, so what kind of, I thought it was a little odd to see Chris Duarte out there. Just, this was a guy who just came fresh off the all-rookie second team. Like, was there just, did they just want to run him out there for the one game and call it a day so he'd get the one rep in with Bennedict Mathurin? Or what do you think was kind of the logic in letting him have the one game in Summer League and then shutting him down so quickly?
Yeah, he's been fighting this toe injury that since dating back to the season. He missed like a ton of time to close the season. So I think part of having him practice with the summer league squad and play that game was to see where he's at with his rehab, see how, because that's a long time. It's been 2.5 months now since he originally went down. See where he's at with his rehab and see how he fits with some of the new guys as well as some of the NBA guys still on that team. Because yeah, he made the all rookie team. Like he's clearly too good for summer league already, scoring 16 points on 7 shots. Sort of more evidence of that. So I think it was more about his rehabilitation and seeing where he's at with that toe since he hadn't played in a game since March-ish. But he clearly showed that he was really good. And they were like, yep, looks good, looks healthy. We're done. You're probably done. He's probably done for the rest of Summer League.
So not only like Bennedict Mathurin looked good, the Pacers looked great against the Hornets, and then things kind of what changed against the Kings in this second summer league game, and specifically with Mathurin, but for the Pacers as a whole.
Holistically, they didn't have Chris Duarte.
There
More
we go.
microcosm on that one game. Namias Keita for the Kings. My goodness, he's a big guy. He's been having a really good summer league for Sacramento. He just bullied Isaiah Jackson, and that's part of what summer league's all about. Is Isaiah Jackson looks good. He was a good rookie last year. He's so athletic. Like TJ McConnell always has to joke with the coaching staff for the Pacers. The stuff this guy does is not normal. We have to remember that because we see it every day. This is a not normal player. He can jump high and run fast in a way that a lot of bigs can't. But then he goes against a guy like Keita, who's really strong and really ground bound around the rim and just gets punked all game, right? Post ups, the Kings were scoring easily. Keita, I think, had 4 or 5 blocks in that game, right? That's where the Pacers got exposed, was more down low for a lot of portions of this game. In fact, when the Pacers made their comeback and took the lead, Keita was out of the game, nursing through an injury. So that was a big part of why they lost the Kings is Isaiah Jackson. Some of the stuff he still needs to work on got exposed, and their three-point shooting cooled off. They didn't have Duarte, and then Keegan Murray took over down the stretch for the Kings, showing why he was the 4th overall pick. So a lot of stuff just all happened at the same time. Kings were hot from 3 to start, but really I think the core of it was the Kings had this really dominant post player that they hadn't seen yet in Summer League.
I feel like we're going to be hearing that sentence a lot. Keegan Murray taking over down the stretch, which shout out to Matt George from Locked On Kings. I'm sure he's enjoying that over there. But, Tony, when we're looking at this Pacers team, what are some of the things that you hope to specifically see over these next, few remaining Summer League games, either from Bennedict Mathurin or from some of the other guys on this Summer League roster?
Yeah, they have a lot of. I mean, they're starting 5 in their first game was all guys who are going to be on their team during the regular season. They have 6 or 7 of those guys even who could be out there. So all those guys you want to see more from. Dwayne Washington had some really solid moments for the Pacers last season. He's really struggled putting the ball in the basket in a summer league setting. Handle the ball like in a point guard role. I think he'll be on the Pacers roster this season as one of their deep bench guards. I'd like to see a little more from him in terms of play finishing and actually putting the ball into the basket. This is the simple stuff, of course. Nate Hinton and Gabe York, 2 guys who finished the season on 2-way contracts for them last year, and neither of them have looked particularly impressive. I'd imagine their time with the Pacers is over, but if they don't want it to be, they've got to play better in these games. And Isaiah Jackson's is easy. A little bit better post defense because all the rest of the stuff he's known for, tons of blocks in both games, crazy alley-oops from Ben Mather and all that's there. But the little tiny things, the stuff that's going to take him from an athletic freak to an actual starter level player is those sort of like fighting in the post sort of things and having a move in the post that isn't just jumping higher than the guy guarding you. Those sort of little developments of the stuff that I watch for in Summer League since the score doesn't matter at all. And I think there's a few more games for those sort of things to stand out. And their draft picks, their second round picks. Andrew Nembhard and Kendall Brown went in the second round, and they've been really overshadowed because Mathurin was the highest Pacers pick in 3 decades. But Nembhard's looked really good running point and finding little crevices to pass in the paint, and Kendall Brown's like the fastest guy on this team somehow, which is crazy because they have a lot of athletic dudes on the Summer League squad. And when your claim to fame is only that you're fast, maybe you don't have a lot of skills, but seeing how they develop as Summer League continues will also be important for this Pacers team.
What goes on with this Pacers team? Who sticks and who goes in the future? Who's going to make the future training camp roster for this Pacers team? You're going to have us covered for all of that and more over at Locked On Pacers. Tony, I appreciate you stopping by Locked On NBA with me.
Thanks for having me, Jackson.